Your parties are the hottest ticket around.
They won't even give me a permit for the parties, man. They don't want me to throw the parties no more.
It's the after hours. I gotta go upstairs and do what I do.
I just kind of hit the wall and was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get!
Probably what was going through her mind is her career flashing before her eyes.
It was not a private event. Jennifer Lopez was here, Puffy was here. There were a lot of professional athletes here.
In the midst of all the recent controversies surrounding Puffy and J.Lo, a couple of resurfaced photos from Puffy's, let's see, circa year 2000 4th of July party has created some chatter online. So, image number 1, we got a group photo. We've got Puffy in a bed alongside Jennifer Lopez, Aaliyah, Andre Harrell, Damon Dash, and a couple of other folks. And almost everybody's in white, except for Puffy, J.Lo, and Natane Adcock, which leaves you with some questions. Then there's also photo number 2. We've got just J.Lo, just Puffy, and once again they are cuddled up on this oversized bed covered in white pillows that I don't think I'd want to take a blacklight to. Folks online have called the industry, and by the industry they mean Hollywood, kind of cruel after seeing all of this, especially seeing Aaliyah. A lot of folks are saying poor Aaliyah, who had to deal with Puffy, had to deal with R. Kelly, somebody else noting just how vulnerable and unprotected she was. They were just saying like, oh my gosh, poor thing, in the wrong spaces. The industry, the music industry, just so cruel how they treated her. Well, that's the thing, if you look at this, you're like, oh look, it's just like a cute photo, a little Polaroid moment. But it kinda doesn't really seem that way when you know the context, especially when you look at all the allegations against Puffy, which kind of creates a dark mark against all those once glamorous memories. Now folks, you'll notice I only said 2 photos. There is a third photo circulating online that is completely fake. It is AI. There's this black and white photo, looks like a cropped screenshot taken from security footage. It is an AI fake, so don't let it fool you, don't let it convince you. There is no security footage as of right now. Fans on social media though have been talking about all of this, especially the real photos. And a lot of folks are like focusing on J.Lo because there's some history there, there's some stories there. They want to know like, was she maybe left traumatized after her time with the rapper? Is that maybe why she has such a spotty dating and marriage history? So Puffy and J.Lo dated between 1999 to 2001. They had a roller coaster of a relationship, and folks want to know, what was going on? Like, this relationship was the peak of Hollywood culture at the turn of the century. Yes, it was a turbulent relationship, but hey, the two have said like, it is what it is. But they've also said a little bit more. Specifically, J.Lo has said quite a bit. She once opened up about the whole dating history, and she mentioned like they both met when they were on that like verge of stardom. J.Lo was releasing her debut album. Puffy helped produce it. She mentioned that he had become a mentor to her during that process. They had this crazy, tumultuous relationship that ended in a bang. Workplace romance, folks. It's a mess. Now, despite the hardships J.Lo has mentioned, she did learn a lot of lessons from Puffy. She mentioned how he gave her so many cues, he taught her so many things, and she mentioned, and has mentioned quite a bit, that she'll always be grateful to him for that. She loves the support she gets from him, and it's great that there's so much mutual respect and admiration and love in the air here, but you really have to focus on what's underlying, folks. And if you don't believe me about how important this relationship was, by the way, to pop culture, Puffy was J.Lo's date to the Grammy Awards in the year 2000, when she wore that green dress, the green dress that is the reason that we have Google Images. So when you look back at that, and once upon a time, Puffy did, he was chatting with Entertainment Tonight back in 2017, and he mentioned, he was like, wow, like we were just trying to step up our game, we were trying to use fashion to get ourselves over. You know, he thought it was gonna change the game, and he didn't know how big it was gonna be. Nobody did. But it was a great moment for J.Lo, and he said, and I quote, she deserves it. And I'm not saying she doesn't. Absolutely, get your iconic moment in history. But on the other hand, how is J.Lo describing this relationship? She mentioned that behind closed doors, she was crying, she was going crazy, she was going nuts. Her life was in a tailspin. She knew Puffy was cheating on her. And even though she never caught him, she knew, okay? Like, you can tell, there's signs. She said like he'd go out for a club, he wouldn't come back for like a whole night. And she's mentioned how it might have affected other relationships. So, ex-husband Chris Judd. We all remember this relationship, right? Yeah, it kind of affected that one. So she mentioned how back with Puffy, that was the first time she was ever with somebody who wasn't faithful, and it really kind of like messes with your mind. Like, you get really paranoid. And J.Lo hasn't exactly denied her crazy behavior, which, like, once again, totally valid. She would knock on hotel doors, and even though she can't remember specifics, because it's been a minute, she didn't deny it. She mentioned that she had to leave Puffy because, like, she was having these thoughts of, like, do I want to be home in 10 years, sitting, watching TV, wondering where somebody is at 3 in the morning? So once the rumors of the infidelity began to hit the press and the mainstream, that's when the two officially separated. And both parties have confirmed this. Apparently, you know, Puffy didn't say anything personally, but his publicist did. He was like, yeah, these two want to put all this to rest. Please respect our privacy. You know, the usual jargon. So, remember how I mentioned Kris Jenner a moment ago? That's who J.Lo rebounded with. It was a short marriage. J.Lo mentioned, like, it was totally a rebound. She's like, I met this sweet person, it's refreshing, but marriage isn't just about love. You know, she mentioned, like, she still loves Kris, but the two didn't have what it took to make a marriage work. Once again, folks, we need to consider that J.Lo is traumatized from being with Puffy. Some folks on social media think that's why she can't stay married. Apparently, Puffy would often threaten to divorce J.Lo, even though they weren't married, but he would say that all the time. J.Lo said, like, yeah, he would say, I want a divorce, I'm gonna be away, where should I send the papers? Because, well, they're both celebrities. They're both in the industry. They have crazy schedules. And after all of that, it kind of took a toll on J.Lo. And, like, I get you, girl. Things like that can be exhausting. So while addressing her time with Puffy, J.Lo has told news outlets, like, it was scary. It wasn't a great time in her life. The two broke up a lot of times. They got back together. They broke up again. They weren't telling anybody about it, but just it was emotionally exhausting. Now, another one of Jennifer's ex-husbands, Ojani Noah, previously spoke, like, about how he would get jealous when she was spending time with Puffy while she was married to Ojani. He was like, yeah, I'd ring Jen, ask why she's going out with him on dates, and she'd be like, oh, it's just business. That's what I'm being told I have to do. And her husband would get jealous and would be like, but you're married. Now, that marriage lasted less than a year. Sadly. Folks online aren't the only ones speculating on J.Lo being traumatized from all of this. One of her good friends, socialite, photographer, and journalist Selma Francesca is like, yeah, no, I don't think J.Lo ever got over Puffy. So, with all of the allegations lately, what does J.Lo have to say? Not a lot. Now, granted, J.Lo is going through another divorce. Ben Affleck. It's a whole thing. There's a lot of history there and a lot to unpack. But despite her silence, fans have been able to dredge up a lot of stuff from history. There was a Wendy Williams show interview where her mom was literally like, yeah, no, those two are never getting back together. I don't want to see him anywhere near my daughter ever again. It was like, okay, mama knows something. And, like, rightfully so. When J.Lo was dating Puffy, those two got, like, arrested for crimes, serious ones. And those crimes are still being brought up in court to this day. So that's valid. And besides J.Lo, there's been a lot of photos of Hollywood stars that have gone viral online because they've been pictured with Puffy, and folks want to know what really went on at these white parties.
J.Lo is known for being difficult to work with, and many former employees have exposed her for her deplorable behavior. So let's dive into what they had to say about the star. Now, one of J.Lo's backup singers, Julia Wang, posted on TikTok how horrible it was to work with the star. She was so mean to her backup singers. If you were pretty or if you were Latina, like, game over. She hated you. Now, Julia also said that J.Lo refused to talk or even look at any of the singers during their rehearsals, except for an occasional eye roll or scoff, which is just crazy. She acted like a bully. Can you imagine spending time with someone working in a closed setting every single day for months, and this person never even acknowledging you or acting like you exist? She said, and no, I can't. That sounds like a horrible work environment, and it would stress me out so much. Now, she also shared that J.Lo changes the way she acts when there's men present. As Julia added, she only treats the women poorly because she views them as competition. Now, driving J.Lo around might sound glamorous, but it's not. In 2022, a girl named Kyla posted a TikTok saying that her dad worked for a company that J.Lo would hire for drivers. But apparently, he heard so many bad stories about the star that he never wanted to be her driver. It said that J.Lo does not allow the drivers to look or talk to her, and she's so strict that if the driver looks through the rear view mirror and makes eye contact with her, she will freak out. Not to mention, she has a crazy rule that her luggage cannot touch the ground. Now, it appears that story is real because one of J.Lo's former drivers sued her. Hakab Manoukian claims he started driving for J.Lo and Mark Anthony in 2005. Now, the three of them had such a great bond that they convinced him to shut down his company and work exclusively as her personal head of security and transportation. Hakab claims J.Lo agreed to pay him more than $200,000 per year, which is pretty great, but but things went downhill in 2011. This is where Hakob claimed he was forced to spend time with J.Lo's manager, Benny Medina. He claimed that Benny hated him and even found a way to convince J.Lo to demote him, taking away his security responsibilities and making him J.Lo's LA driver, and that was it. Now Hakob said he was basically forced to resign and then sued J.Lo and Benny for unspecific damages. J.Lo then countersued him for extortion, but her suit was dismissed in December 2012. Now the two eventually settled on disclosed terms. Staff have also claimed that Jen is a horrible tipper. Well, the thing is, she doesn't tip. In a one now deleted TikTok, a woman who alleges she served the star claimed J.Lo and Ben Affleck are notorious for not tipping servers. The woman claimed Jen is known for being stingy, adding that she tells Ben not to tip. Now another woman on TikTok, Penny, agreed with this, saying that a woman she previously employed at a tavern she managed in Las Vegas once shared a story with her about an experience she had while working at a casino. She claimed she spent one night serving Ben as he was at a poker table, not serving anybody else. Now Ben gave her an extremely generous tip of $10,000, but once J.Lo caught wind of the tip, she allegedly snatched back the money. Then there's flight attendants. Starting off, J.Lo does not hire female attendants, and if there are any, she will make them get off the plane. Then there's the fact that she won't even speak to the flight attendants on board. One former worker spoke about his experience. "I just said, 'What can I get you to drink?' but Jennifer refused to even acknowledge me. She turned her head away and told her personal assistant, 'Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke,' and I'm like, the alleged United Airlines worker claimed. She wouldn't even look at me. It was sad. She seems so sweet in her movies." J.Lo and Mark Anthony's twins needed nannies at one point, but it said that J.Lo gave them a grueling schedule. Normally, people who make huge sums of money and have loads of professional and social obligations hire a nanny for each child, especially for newborns, but Jennifer expected one nanny to not only take care of both twins, but to work 16-hour days, 7 days a week, an insider told the National Enquirer via Today. Unsurprisingly, the first nanny she hired left after just a week of working for her. They then hired a second nanny who was wonderful with the twins, but she couldn't take working such long hours without a break, the source said. So she quit after a week as well. Yeah, I don't blame them for quitting. Now, Gilly Liar had been a longtime assistant to J.Lo before she quit and went to work for Mariah Carey in 2013. It's been said that the main reason she quit was because of J.Lo's boyfriend at the time, Casper Smart. Apparently, Casper was allowed to do whatever he wanted in the house, and this included him mistreating the staff members, and J.Lo didn't put a stop to it. That upset Gilly, a source told Radar Online. Casper always insisted that Jennifer's staff call him Mr. Smart, and even demanded that Gilly get him drinks. Now, Prey Doja happened to be cleaning Jennifer's hotel room in Germany during her 2012 world tour. Now, as a big fan of J.Lo, Prey tried to ask the star for an autograph, only to have two of her assistants stop her. Now, soon after, she was out of a job, and she believed that she knew the reason. A day later, the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Ms. Lopez had complained, Prey told Daily Star. "I was fired right there on the phone because of an autograph." However, J.Lo herself denied the claims with one single tweet, "Come on, thought you knew me better than this. Would never get anyone fired over an autograph. First I heard of this was on Twitter," she said. But Prey has a different story. Then a woman named Emily Watford came forward online to talk about how J.Lo behaved when she was working at a concert arena. Emily said that a doorman looked at J.Lo, which J.Lo didn't like, so she began telling another staff member about what he did. Now apparently the doorman said, "So much for Jenny from the block," which J.Lo didn't like, so she got him fired. Not to mention, J.Lo's demands for concerts is insane, and she makes the staff do whatever she wants. During her Las Vegas residency, she had a lot of demands. She requested 3 penthouse suites all next to each other, a playground in her suite for her kids, and she also demanded a personal laundry service and for each room to have its own on-call butler wearing all white. Now the housekeeping staff had to sign full disclosure agreements to ensure they didn't spill any of her secrets. Now it said she requested brand new toilets for the backstage area and an all-white dressing room. Not to mention, in 2010, when performing at the World Music Awards, she had a long list of demands that had to be met. She requested that the entire hotel floor and private beach be reserved for herself. She also wanted an on-call masseuse as well as a 12-person hair and makeup team. Additionally, she requested a standby helicopter and a custom speedboat with a champagne fridge. To top it off, she demanded $4,400 diamond-encrusted headphones to block out the noise from the speedboat's motor. And then there's the time she got everyone to turn on her longtime makeup artist, Scott Barnes. There had been leaks on J.Lo's team, and they exposed to the press that J.Lo was planning on getting married to Mark Anthony. J.Lo claimed that Scott was one of the employees who betrayed her, so she fired him and made everyone ignore him. Now the thing was, they never asked him about it, they just fired him. It was then that they found out that Scott was not the leak, but to this day, J.Lo still hasn't apologized to him. Speaking on the Jeff Probst show in 2012, and when asked about how J.Lo treated him, Scott said, "It was like I had the plague. They didn't tell me I was fired, they just stopped calling. We had been friends for almost a decade, or so I thought, and this was incredibly hurtful." Now that is just extremely messed up. They didn't even give him the chance to explain himself and realize that he wasn't the leak. It's then shocking though, because J.Lo eventually ended up giving him his old job back again after learning the truth, but again, she still did not apologize. Scott probably needed the job though, as he later claimed that J.Lo blacklisted him in the industry. Scott went on to say, "I went right back to work with her and we just never spoke about it again, which is even weirder." And yeah, that is extremely strange. The funny thing is, her celebrity makeup artist would go on to work for her for years and years and insisted that they remain on good terms despite everything that happened between them.
Jennifer Lopez seems to be telling one lie after another. She's lied about her upbringing, her love stories, who actually sings her music, and who knows what else at this point. So if you didn't know, earlier this year, J.Lo released her documentary on Amazon Prime called This Is Me Now, A Love Story, which gave a behind the scenes look into her new album, well, her latest album, This Is Me Now, and the accompanying movie, The Greatest Love Story Never Told. So some fans who watched it took to social media to call her out for her lies. So there's one scene where she poses in front of the mirror at like her gym, and she's like shaking out her hair, and she's like, "Oh yeah, like I like taking my hair out like this. It reminds me when I was young and in the Bronx, running up and down the block. Crazy girl who used to be effing wild and no limits, all dreams." Well, TikTok user Photos by Angela slammed the star in a series of videos. She claims to have gone to the same Catholic high school as J.Lo and accused her of lying about her experience living in the Bronx. She said, "We both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood, so you weren't running up and down the block." Let's go on to line number 2, shall we, folks? So J.Lo has been long accused of not actually singing on her albums, and singer Natasha Ramos took to TikTok to shed light on that rumor. So Natasha has a voice very similar to that of Jennifer's, and she was hired to sing the demo of Jenny from the Block. The production team liked her voice so much they asked her to record 5 more songs for the album This Is Me, including the single I'm Glad. Natasha received like $3,500 in a backup singer's credit. However, as she claims and the original demo demonstrates, it's her voice in the final track. And not only the choruses, it's her laugh, it's her yelling from the Bronx. J.Lo only sings in the verse. If we're gonna talk about stealing, J.Lo is notorious for this. She caught her big break in 1997 when she starred as the late Latin pop singer Selena in the biography of the same name, and after that film, J.Lo ventured into music. Her demo was picked up by music exec Tommy Mottola and Sony Music, and she dropped her debut album on the 6th in summer of 1999. The big hit, If You Had My Love, we all know it. Well, that song received some backlash from R&B singer Shantae Moore. Moore had a near identical song called If I Gave Love, recorded a year prior in '98. Both songs, J.Lo's and Moore's, were written and produced by Rodney Jerkins. It's been said that J.Lo's then boyfriend, Puff Daddy, pressured Jerkins to write a near identical song, and J.Lo's stealing only gets worse as time went on. So look, technically using background vocals is not uncommon in the music industry, but the issue with J.Lo is because she's passed so many vocals from other singers as her own, she's essentially committing fraud. Songs like Play and the I'm Real remix feature prominent reference track vocals from Christina Milian and Ashanti. Ashanti's a big name here, folks. J.Lo and Ja Rule's music video for I'm Real remix, yeah, J.Lo reused Ashanti's reference track vocals on the song and passed them off as her own. Instead of J.Lo re-recording the song, she was just like, "Yeah, no, this is totally me, guys." It's not. J.Lo has also stolen or attempted to steal from artists such as Usher, Brandy Norwood, Mariah Carey, and so many more. She's also been accused of lip-syncing during live performances on so many occasions. Back in 2021, fans took to social media during her American Music Awards performance to express their disappointment because they're like, these vocals are not matching the studio version of the song. On my way. 2014, American Idol, they were like, this rendition of I Like It Poppy, it ain't it, girl. Let's talk about some diva behavior, shall we? So, in 2002, J.Lo starred in the romantic comedy Made in Manhattan. She was all over the world promoting it. Actors always do press. And when she was in London, people were talking. And not about the movie. She had a very interesting encounter with hotel staff. So she stayed at the Metropolitan Hotel, and she was being a big diva. The hotel staff was actually astounded by her extravagant demands because it was reaching levels they had never seen before. She wanted so many lemon-scented candles, and no matter where she went, she always had to be in like a limo, even though maybe she was only going like down the block. Nope, still need to be escorted there. I can't walk. In 2012, reports surfaced that she demanded that any staff working for her make no eye contact or speak with her. So she was having work done on her San Fernando Valley home, and she was like, no helpers, no drivers, no contractors. You cannot interact with me. She's flying first class. Don't even try talking to her if you're the flight attendant and that's your job. One time a flight attendant offered her a drink and she was like, She said to her assistant, please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime. Just say, hi, thank you so much, I'd like a Diet Coke and lime. It's not that hard. We're gonna go back into her line behaviors. So remember that fun movie she did with Ryan Guzman? Yeah, she had him fake his relationship status to hype up their movie. Or at least that's what his ex-girlfriend's saying. So Melanie Iglesias called out J.Lo on the No Chaser podcast for how she claims J.Lo acted during the 2015 The Boy Next Door press run. She's like, yeah, J.Lo was holding hands with Ryan at after parties. She was acting like they were an item, knowing full well he had a girlfriend. So the girlfriend was like, yeah, I met J.Lo at an award show and it was just like really awkward. There was like a really firm handshake, a once over, and Melanie was disappointed because she once viewed J.Lo as a hero. Also, I know we don't like Ellen DeGeneres, but when she asked J.Lo, like, doesn't he have a girlfriend? J.Lo played dumb. She's like, I don't know. J.Lo faced a lot of backlash after revealing she was unhappy about sharing the stage with Shakira back at the Super Bowl in 2020. The duo took the stage by storm at the iconic annual halftime show, with their history-making performance attracting ton of praise from fans and celebs worldwide. But it turns out that despite the evident success of the joint performance, J.Lo wasn't really happy with like sharing the stage, and she admitted that in her Netflix documentary that she thought it was the worst idea in the world. So shortly after those comments hit the internet, fans were like, girl, this attitude is entitled. It's over. Regardless of time constraints, those two put on an iconic show. So what's with the diva behavior? So what isn't J.Lo telling us? Well, let's go and talk about Puffy's recent arrest on racketeering charges, more things I can't say, how it sent shockwaves through Hollywood, turning the spotlight on his infamous past parties and every connection he's ever had. Well, as the scandal's been unfolding, a lot of celebrities, once linked to this star-studded human being, have been keeping quiet. In the midst of all the controversy, there's been a lot of photos from these 4th of July parties, from the white parties, from the birthday bashes, that have tongues wagging. There's one photo where we see Puff Daddy in a bed with J.Lo, Aaliyah, Andre Harrell, Natanya Adcock, Damon Dash. Everybody's dressed in white except for Puff Daddy, J.Lo, and I'm kind of wondering why. And there's another photo where once again, J.Lo and Puff Daddy are cuddled up on what seems to be an oversized bed covered with white pillows that I won't want to put a black light near. And a lot of folks call the industry cruel after seeing that, especially the first one. They were like, poor Aaliyah, dealing with Puff Daddy, dealing with other predators. She was so vulnerable and unprotected. She was in all the wrong spaces. The industry was so cruel to her. And like after what we've talked about today with J.Lo and how she took advantage of her, yeah, that makes sense. Sure, these photos might have been like simple and fun and innocent at the time, but now if you look at it with all the context and the history, J.Lo girl, are you okay? Like, fans on social media have been talking a lot about them, and they're talking a lot about J.Lo and her silence amidst everything that's going on in the news. Maybe she's too traumatized to talk about things. Some folks said that, hey, the divorce with Ben Affleck makes more sense now. Poor J.Lo was just completely traumatized after being with Puff Daddy for 2 years. Yeah, they dated from like 1999 to 2001, and they had a roller coaster of a relationship, and fans want to know just how much of an impact it had on the poor woman.
Now, we all know that J.Lo is linked to Diddy, and it has people questioning if she was involved in some of the crimes he committed. Now, J.Lo and Diddy began dating in 1999 after meeting on the set of her music video for If You Had My Love. They ended up breaking up in 2001, but still talk here and there. The thing is though, J.Lo has been arrested with Diddy before, and some people think she lied to the police to cover for him. In 1999, Diddy was arrested following an incident that happened at a nightclub in New York, and J.Lo was with him, resulting resulting in her getting arrested too. The incident started with a disagreement and ended with 3 different people becoming injured. After the incident, Diddy, J.Lo, and others left the scene, but then they were involved in a police car chase. According to the Washington Post, police found a stolen weapon in the car, and both Diddy and J.Lo were arrested and initially charged with criminal possession of stolen property. Now, the charges against J.Lo were dropped overnight, but Diddy went to trial. Jennifer spent 14 hours in a police station as a result of the incident, and she later described it as an unfortunate situation, adding, "We were somewhere we shouldn't have been. It was a bad situation, and any bad situation that involves celebrities, people run with." Some witnesses, though, say that they saw J.Lo throw evidence out of the car while they were running from the police. Now, J.Lo has rarely spoken about the incident, but in the year 2000, she did address it in an interview with British Elle. She said, "It was a complete nightmare. I had absolutely no idea what was going on. No one did." Now, J.Lo was in a little more trouble when they were arrested because up until that point, Jennifer said she was born in 1970, but she was actually born in 1969. Now, why did she change her age? No one really knows. Some say it was to appear younger in Hollywood, and while I understand that, the difference was only 1 year, and to be honest, I don't think that would help that much. But yes, it was discovered that she was lying about her age. If she could lie about that and then was maybe caught tampering with evidence, how can we believe her about anything? Then back in 2015, Jennifer appeared on the Wendy Williams show with her mother. Now, during the conversation, Wendy wanted to know if J.Lo and Diddy could ever get back together. Wendy said, "So if you recall, the last time you were here, I was telling you that I could always see you getting back with Puffy in a little way." Now, J.Lo laughed and shook her head while Wendy shrugged, but J.Lo's mother's reaction was the most shocking part of this. A camera panned to her in the audience and she shouted no while doing a cut it hand gesture. Now, safe to say, she didn't like Diddy and didn't want her daughter to get back together with him, which honestly was probably the right call. But I truly wonder what happened between them that made her mother hate him so much. I mean, J.Lo has said in the past that Diddy cheated on her, but she never had any real proof. She said, "I was in this relationship with Puff where I was totally crying crazy and going nuts. It really took my whole life in a tailspin." Now, she grew increasingly concerned about his fidelity, saying, "I never caught him, but I just knew," she said of his cheating. Now, Diddy himself admitted that he was often unfaithful in relationships, but was there more to this relationship that made J.Lo's mother hate him? I guess we'll never know. Then there's the fact that J.Lo likes to exaggerate growing up in the Bronx. You see, when J.Lo's documentary, The Greatest Love Story Never Told, was released this year, viewers had issues with the way she described growing up in the Bronx. In one scene, it shows Jennifer looking into a mirror, reminiscing about her childhood. She says, "I like taking my hair out like this. It reminds me like when I was 16 in the Bronx, running up and down the block, crazy little girl who used to be wild and no limits, all dreams." But even though she loves speaking about the Bronx, it's a place she actively avoids, as people who actually live in the Bronx have exposed. One TikTok creator, Photos by Angela, posted a video alleging that she and J.Lo had gone to the same high school and claims to have waited for years before speaking out, having been annoyed in silence. Now, in the TikTok clip, she accused J.Lo of lying and using the residents of the Bronx to look human. "We both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood, so you weren't running up and down the block," she says. Not to mention the fact that J.Lo starred in a car commercial that took place in the Bronx, but the ad backfired when it was reported that J.Lo never actually went to the Bronx to film the ad, and that a body double stand-in was used instead. Now, it seems like J.Lo just acts like she loves the Bronx, but it's just a facade. It's so strange that she's made this her main image and personality, though, when there are people who can actually deny all of this. Then there's how J.Lo stays looking young. Now, J.Lo is beautiful for her age, and everyone has always commented on how well she's aged, but it seems like there might be something at play here that not everyone can do. Now, J.Lo herself says the key to her flawless skin is olive oil. The star spoke out ahead of the launch of her J.Lo beauty skincare range, saying of olive oil, "It's a secret I've used over the years because it really does work. But fans fans and professionals are not convinced. In the past, fans have caught J.Lo using video filters to blur her skin to make it look perfect. And then there's the people who have accused the star of getting cosmetic work done. Plastic surgeon Corey Hartman took to Instagram to challenge J.Lo on her whole olive oil thing. He said, "There are some things that I think and other things that I know for sure. I think Jennifer Lopez is probably forgetting if she's ever had Botox, but I know for sure that she's used more than olive oil to maintain that glow. I really thought that we turned the corner on Botox denial and judging others for personal choices when it comes to cosmetic procedures." Now, Jennifer has obviously not responded to these claims, but many other surgeons and people online have speculated that she's gotten work done. And then there's the fact that J.Lo is a diva and has so many demands whenever she performs. Honestly, I'm shocked people still hire her because it seems like a pain in the butt to do everything that she wants. Now, when she appeared on the British television show Top of the Pops in the late 90s, it's been said that she refused to perform unless her dressing room was completely redecorated. It's alleged that J.Lo demanded that everything had to be white or she wouldn't go on stage. Now, this seems to be a theme because it was reported while attending a recording session for the African AIDS charity single What's Going On in 2002, she submitted her standard tour rider, which demanded a 40-foot trailer furnished all in white from top to bottom, flowers, tablecloth, drapery, couches, candles, everything. Love don't cost a thing, says Gary Sussman at Entertainment Weekly, but being a diva sure can be expensive. And hey, I gotta agree. Then there's her hotel demands. In the 90s and early 2000s, it was said that she had very specific food and beverage notes for the hotels she stayed at. Her personal suite must include a coffee maker, hot water pot, toaster, microwave, and an oven all set up before she arrives. Additionally, she requests plates, coffee mugs, thermos cups, and silverware. Now, she also demanded 12 bottles of water for her second room, which was her wardrobe room. It seems like she didn't change her ways though, as in January 2016, she started her Las Vegas residency. She signed a 3-year contract to perform roughly 120 shows a year at Planet Hollywood's Axis Theater. She makes $350,000 for each show and performed 3 times a week. But this wasn't enough for her, as she had more demands. She requested 3 penthouse suites all next to each other, she asked for a playground in her suite for her kids, and she also demanded a personal laundry service and for each room to have its own on-call butler wearing all white. The housekeeping staff had to sign full disclosure agreements to ensure that they didn't spill any of her secrets. Now, she requested brand new toilets for the backstage area, and then again, an all-white dressing room. Now, I'm sure if she were to have gone through with her summer tour, the demands would have been even more insane. Jennifer Lopez is a liar. She's lied about her age, her singing, and even where she grew up. Yes, Jenny is not from the block. Now, in 1999, J.Lo was arrested with her then boyfriend at the time, P. Diddy. Why? Well, there was an incident about Diddy injuring someone and they fled the scene, and it was dramatic, but what came out of all this is that J.Lo had actually been lying about her age. Up until that point, Jennifer had said she was born in 1970, but she was actually born in 1969. Now, this is just strange to me because it was only changed by 1 year. Now, that seems like such an insignificant detail. Why would she change it? Well, it seems like no one really knows. Of course, Hollywood prefers younger stars, but a year difference doesn't seem like that much. Some people have theorized that maybe she changed her age due to schooling and just stuck with it, but I don't know. Lying about your age by 1 year is just weird. Now, J.Lo is known for being youthful, and her secret to this is apparently olive oil. Yep, you heard that right. The star spoke out ahead of the launch of her J.Lo Beauty skincare range in December 2020, saying of olive oil, "It's the secret I've used over the years because it really does work." Now, she went on to encourage people to also be vigilant with sunscreen, explaining, "One of the big things I would encourage everyone to do from the time they're 15 years old, even younger, is wear sunscreen every day." But some fans found another way that she maintains her youthful appearance online by using video and photo filters. TikTok user @NeedTheDeets exposed the trick she uses as its video filters. Wait for the filter to fall off to see J.Lo's real skin texture, they captioned the video, which was a promotion for sport water. In the footage, Jennifer looks flawless, but at one point she leans closer to the camera and her skin looks less smooth and far from perfect. Jen then quickly readjusts herself, making the glitch last about half a second, but it just proved that she's not perfect. Now, this makes me question, does she even use olive oil on her skin, or did she just say that? I don't know, but all I know is that she's human and isn't perfect. Now, plastic surgeon Corey Hartman took to Instagram to challenge J.Lo on this claim. He said, "There are some things that I think and other things that I know for sure. I think Jennifer Lopez is probably forgetting if she's ever had Botox, but I know for sure that she's used more than olive oil to maintain that glow. I really thought we'd turn the corner on Botox denial and judging others for personal choices when it comes to cosmetic procedures. Let's not go back to stigmatizing Botox. To each his own, and good luck to J.Lo with the olive oil. We don't believe you, but we still love you, Jenny." Now, Jennifer has obviously not responded to these claims, but everyone knows it's true. Now, if you didn't know, J.Lo is notorious for stealing from other artists. The fact that we've let her get away with it so much is honestly crazy. Now, J.Lo caught her big break in 1997, where she starred as the late Latin pop singer Selena in her biography of the same name. After the film, J.Lo got into music. Her demo was picked up by music exec Tommy Mulata and Sony Music. She then dropped her debut album On the 6th in summer 1999, and one big hit from the album was If You Had My Love. People loved it, but it received backlash from R&B singer Shantae Moore. Now, Moore had a near-identical song called If I Gave Love, recorded a year prior in 1998. Now, both songs from J.Lo and Moore were written and produced by Rodney Jerkins, and this was done on purpose. It's been said that J.Lo's then-boyfriend Diddy pressured Jerkins to write a near-identical song. From then on, J.Lo's stealing habits worsened as time went on, and it became more and more obvious. Now, one thing she would continuously do is use background vocals from other artists and claim they were her own. Her songs like Play and the I'm Real remix feature prominent reference track vocals from Christina Milian and Ashanti. Now, Jennifer and Ja Rule's music video for the I'm Real remix, J.Lo reused Ashanti's reference track vocals on the song and passed them off as her own. Now, instead of J.Lo re-recording the song, she left the demo vocals on the song and failed to credit Milian or Ashanti. Now, the worst offender is J.Lo's signature song though, Jenny from the Block. Natasha Ramos sings on the track's chorus, bridge, and ad-libs. Now, Natasha also contributed vocals to multiple songs on J.Lo's third album, This Is Me Then. Now, Natasha has downplayed her contributions to the song, but this is directly contradicted by the leaked reference track showing Natasha's chorus and ad-libs are directly cut and pasted. Like, no J.Lo vocals are in there at all. Now, J.Lo has also stolen or attempted to steal from other artists like Usher, Brandy Norwood, Mariah Carey, and many more. In 2005, Usher claimed that she stole a song that he cast aside while recording his hugely successful album called Confessions. Usher claimed that J.Lo's single Get Right is actually a re-recorded version of Ride, a song that he co-wrote the year before, which was only available online. He said, "I hate it, but I'd better get some of the publishing rights or else. I didn't put it on my album because I couldn't get it right, but I didn't expect J.Lo to just take it." Then there's J.Lo and her image of being from the Bronx. In her documentary released this year, The Greatest Love Story Ever Told, she says that it's about facing the truth of who you really are. But that clip completely backfired when it went viral, as fans said she wasn't even from the Bronx. A clip showed Jennifer tousle her hair while looking into a mirror, reminiscing about her childhood. She says, "I like taking my hair out like this. It reminds me like when I was 16 in the Bronx, running up and down the block. Crazy little girl who used to be wild and no limits, all dreams." But even though she loves speaking about the Bronx, it's a place she actively avoids. One TikTok creator, Photos by Angela, posted a video alleging that she and J.Lo had gone to the same high school and claims to have waited for years before speaking out, having been annoyed in silence. In the TikTok clip, she bluntly accuses J.Lo of lying and using the residents of the Bronx to look human. "We both attended an all-girls high school in an Irish and Italian neighborhood, so you weren't running up and down the block, she says. Not to mention the fact that J.Lo starred in a commercial that took place in the Bronx, but the ad backfired when the smoking gun reported that J.Lo never actually went to the Bronx to film the ad and that a body double stand-in was used instead. It seems like she really doesn't like being Jenny from the block. Now, along with stealing songs, she apparently doesn't always sing live. In November 2021, she was slammed by music fans for allegedly lip-syncing during her American Music Awards performance as she took the stage to carry out her brand new song, On My Way, Marry Me. Now, another angry reviewer ranted, "Come on with the overproduced singing, this commercial sounds exactly like her live vocals did." Now, a commentator pointed out, "Why are you lip-syncing? You have a great voice, just sing the song." Now, this isn't the first time this has happened though, as in 2014 she was caught lip-syncing her performance of I Love Ya Poppy on American Idol. Now, this just wasn't a good look at all. And finally, there was the time she was caught cheating. As we all know, J.Lo and Ben Affleck had an on-again, off-again romance that has been going on since the 2000s and ended this year with the couple getting divorced after being married for only 2 years. Now, the timeline of their relationship is a huge red flag and included alleged cheating. So in July of 2002, J.Lo filed for divorce from her second husband, Chris Judd, citing irreconcilable differences. But this news broke just months after J.Lo had wrapped the movie Jill-G alongside Ben. Even though she vehemently denied cheating rumors, Ben took out an ad in The Hollywood Reporter talking about his love for J.Lo before her divorce wasn't even finalized. In fact, Chris Judd's father, Larry, spoke out against the couple and accused J.Lo of being unfaithful to his son. He insinuated that the affair started during the filming of Jill-G, saying, "I thought Mr. Affleck would honor a married woman and not just go right into the trailer." He then added that she'd be happier if she just tell the truth and that no one in her inner circle is going to say one negative thing to her.
J.Lo has fallen from grace recently with all of her lies being uncovered. From lying about where she grew up to stealing music from artists, here's evil Jennifer Lopez lies she's tried to keep secret from the public. What's crazy is J.Lo is notorious for stealing from other artists. J.Lo caught her big break in 1997 where she starred as the late Latin pop singer Selena in her biography of the same name. After the film, J.Lo ventured into music. J.Lo's demo was picked up by music exec Tommy Mottola and Sony Music. Now, this caused some drama between her and Mariah Carey as Tommy was her ex-husband. In Mariah's 2020 memoir, she slammed Tommy, the then chairman and CEO of Sony Music Entertainment, accusing him of trying to ruin her career and getting Jennifer Lopez involved. She said after she played a new song to Sony after she and Tommy ended their relationship, Sony rushed to make a single for another female entertainer on their label, aka J.Lo. Things actually get a bit worse and even more obvious. Mariah had just recently worked on an exciting collab with Ja Rule, who Tommy also convinced to do the song with J.Lo. While J.Lo's I'm Real remix enlisted Ja Rule, Mariah was forced to change the song sample and bring in another rapper for her own remix, choosing Da Brat. J.Lo essentially helped Tommy try to ruin Mariah's career, and Mariah claims that she knew about it the whole time. And honestly, it wouldn't really surprise me if J.Lo was in on it. Another time J.Lo was accused of stealing music was when she dropped her debut album On the 6 in summer 1999. One big hit from the album was If You Had My Love. The song received backlash from R&B singer Shantae Moore. Moore had a near identical song called If I Gave Love, recorded a year prior in 1998. Both songs from J.Lo and Moore were written and produced by Rodney Jerkins. It's said that Lopez's then boyfriend Diddy pressured Jerkins to write a near identical song. Lopez's stealing habits worsened as time went on. Using background vocals is not uncommon in the music industry. The issue is that J.Lo passed many vocals from other singers as her own, essentially committing music fraud. Songs like Play and the I'm Real remix feature prominent reference track vocals from Christina Milian and Ashanti. Jennifer and Ja Rule's music video for the I'm Real remix, J.Lo reused Ashanti's reference track vocals on the song and passed them off as her own. Instead of J.Lo re-recording the song, she left the demo vocals on the song and failed to credit Milan or Ashanti. The worst offender is J.Lo's signature song, Jenny from the Block. Natasha Ramos sings the track's chorus, bridge, and ad-libs. Ramos also contributed vocals to multiple songs on Lopez's third album, This Is Me Then. Ramos has downplayed her contributions to the song on Twitter. This is directly contradicted by the leaked reference track showing Ramos's chorus and ad-libs are directly cut and pasted. You thought I was done, but then in 2005, Usher claimed that she stole a song that he cast aside while recording his hugely successful album called Confessions. Usher claimed that J.Lo's single Get Right is actually a re-recorded version of Ride, a song that he co-wrote the year before, which was only available online. He said, quote, "I hate it, but I'd better get some of the publishing rights or else. I didn't put it on my album because I couldn't get it right, but I didn't expect J.Lo to just take it." Not only has J.Lo been accused of stealing music and not singing her songs, she's actually been caught lip-syncing quite a few times. In November 2021, she was slammed by music fans for allegedly lip-syncing during her American Music Awards performance as she took the stage to carry out her brand new song, On My Way, Marry Me. Another angry viewer ranted, quote, "Come on with the overproduced singing. This commercial sounds exactly like her live vocals just did." A commentator pointed out, quote, "Now why are you lip-syncing? You have a great voice. Just sing the song." This isn't the first time this has happened though. In 2014, she was caught lip-syncing her performance of I Love Ya Poppy on American Idol, and again, fans were not happy about this. Jennifer might seem nice to the public, but behind the scenes it's said that she has been awful to employees, a full Ellen DeGeneres situation going on here. According to several of J.Lo's former staff members, Jennifer earned herself the nickname Pay Low because she paid her staff around 50% less than they could make elsewhere. This rumor has been going on for years. See, way back in 2003, Jennifer was spotted in Vegas with her then boyfriend, Ben Affleck. The pair had had a big win and Ben decided to drop a $2,000 tip to the dealer, but before he could scoop the generous reward, J.Lo snatched up the cash and swapped it for $200 instead. And then in 2012, reports surfaced that she demanded that staff working for her make no eye contact or speak with her. While having work done on her San Fernando Valley home, she demanded that none of the helpers, drivers, or contractors have any interactions with her, and reportedly, when flying first class, she doesn't like anyone to bother her, even the flight attendant. One time, a flight attendant offered her a drink and she refused to acknowledge him. She said to her assistant, "Please tell him I'd like a Diet Coke and lime." Yeah. It's kinda crazy. That is not all though, as in 2012 it was reported that she had a maid fired from her job, although she repeatedly denies it. Jennifer was staying at the Malia Dusseldorf in Germany and a maid working at the hotel approached the Diva's room to get an autograph. She spoke with J.Lo's assistant who denied her to see the star. The next morning, the maid was fired. She said a day later the cleaning company that employed me at the hotel called and said that Ms. Lopez had complained. I was fired right there on the phone because of an autograph. Jennifer and the hotel deny that she was fired for that reason. The maid had allegedly barged into the room unannounced, and the singer's security immediately gave her the boot out of concern for the singer's safety. Very fair. Hotel management has since assured J.Lo's people that no one was fired, but the maid company the hotel uses had relocated the maid in question to a different property. I mean, who would lie about getting fired? It definitely seems pretty convincing to me. Then there was the whole thing with the Super Bowl halftime show, the drama. Jennifer was frustrated with the organizers of the halftime show for giving her and Shakira the same amount of time that any solo performer would receive rather than doubling it for their performance together. For context, performers for the halftime show are usually given 12 to 16 minutes on stage. Past solo artists, such as The Weeknd and Beyonce, have used the time to switch from song to song, but it's also not uncommon for multiple artists to share the stage for a performance of this length of time too. One recent Super Bowl, for example, saw stars Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and 50 Cent, with each member only receiving a few minutes directly centered in the spotlight. Iconic Super Bowl performance. However, J.Lo was clearly unhappy with the idea of her and Shakira dividing the time between them, telling her music director Kim Burse in her Netflix documentary, "We have 6 effing minutes. We have 30 seconds of song, and if we take a minute, that's it. We've got 5 left. But there's got to be certain songs that we sing through. We have to have our singing moments. It's not going to be a dance effing review. We have to sing our message," she said, before going on to label the entire thing as the worst idea in the world. "This is the worst idea in the world to have 2 people do the Super Bowl. While this is what it was like behind the scenes, to the whole world, J.Lo was acting all happy about sharing the stage, but as soon as her real feelings about the situation started to come out, fans called her out for her entitled attitude, arguing that regardless of the time constraints, she and Shakira were still able to put on a pretty iconic show. But her whole attitude was just so disrespectful towards Shakira, it was honestly kind of gross."